Hi, and welcome to Visual Art Photography. I'm Ray Scott. I don't know about you, but I'm the kind of person who lives in the present, sometimes even in the future a little bit, but it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate the past, and it doesn't mean that I don't sometimes get nostalgic about things. Now, according to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, nostalgia is the state of being homesick, or something like a wistful or excessively sentimental yearning for the past, or for some things in the past. Now, nostalgia is something that really brings a warm feeling over me, and it may for you too. And sometimes I like to capture that in photography. The question is, how do you do it? Well, clearly, sometimes older objects may bring on that wave of nostalgia, old pictures, things like that. But there are other ways to capture nostalgia too, or to at least create the effect of nostalgia. So we're going to look at all kinds of things today on this tutorial about nostalgia and photography. As always, your very important questions and comments can be addressed down below. Now let's create some nostalgic images. Let's pick out some good subject matter, and let's use a few different effects to bring it all together.
So there are three basic things that we're going to look at to capture and to create the feeling of nostalgia when someone looks at a photo. So the first thing we're going to look at, and this is something that you're going to see as the most common aspect of the three things that we're talking about, is one, the subject matter. So the subject matter is important. Now this old vehicle, my friend's buddy has this great old car, and right there you have the feeling of nostalgia just because it is old and it does create those warm feelings from the past that you may have. So subject matter is really, really important. Again, this very old airplane from long ago, from the 1940s, and that in itself could bring on some nostalgic feelings for some people, but also using black and white. And that's actually tip number 2, tone it or change it to black and white, because so often when we look back at old photos, well, color didn't exist long ago, so everything was in black and white as far as photography was concerned. So that brings on feelings of nostalgia too. So subject matter and treatment. In this one, the remnants of an old gas station. Subject matter, it's nostalgic. This old bus, long out of use, long out of commission, sitting there, and it can bring on feelings of nostalgia. And the color in this too. You know, you don't necessarily see a bus with those colors anymore, so that could be nostalgic too. But subject matter definitely key. Here, the Regent Theatre, the oldest working theatre in Canada, almost 100 years old now, and that, for me, brings on all kinds of feelings of nostalgia, especially since you can go in there and get popcorn and a soft drink for practically nothing, because their prices are somewhere back in the 1970s. So that's kind of nostalgic too. The old long closed Bud's Diner, bringing back memories of perhaps as a child going for ice cream. A portion of a very, very old typewriter. So subject matter, obviously extremely important. Here we go again. Actually, a drive-in. The old bus on the left-hand side, the old fire truck right there in the foreground, and you can see the screen and so on and so forth from the old drive-in. All kinds of things. You can have posters. You can find things, magazines. They can be very nostalgic too. Look at this, the Twinkies. 2 for 10 cents. You know, it's very nostalgic. Brings back memories. This old reader from grade 2, a grade 2 reader. And this is the way it used to be done back in elementary school long ago. We did touch on treatment a little bit, and we can see it here a little bit, but this is subject matter. Just want to show you this one because it's a little bit different. This is the face and the inner workings of a very old watch from the early, very early 1900s. And what I did was I took two photos, one of the inner workings, one of the face, and I combined them by using a gradient tool and just kind of blended them together. So, old subject matter. Now here, this is where we get back to the treatment part of it, to create nostalgia. This is just a couple of years ago, so this is relatively new, obviously. But something about clotheslines, that could bring out a little bit of nostalgia. But that's new. I mean, you can see the bike up on the balcony there. It's a new bike. It's nothing old. But if you tone it, and this is almost like a sepia sort of tone, a browning of it, it creates that feeling of age, because we associate it black and white and this type of a toned image with something that's old and aged. And you can even take it a step further and take it something into a program, say like Analog Effects Pro from the Nix software collection by Google, and you can tone it and make it kind of brownish. But then look at this. I've run it through a software that actually puts scratches on it. So there's scratches to make it look like it's really old and worn and somewhat abused and so on and so forth. And there you can age it as well. Here's a technique I like to use, sometimes for nostalgic reasons. Now, here you have subject matter, which is old, so it goes into that, but I'm using a glow. Often when you add a glow to especially an older subject like this, it can bring on feelings of nostalgia, and old bikes work really, really well. Or old vehicles. Here's the old truck. It's got a little bit of a glow on it, and it just gives you that warm feeling, especially with the sun, the way it's hitting the paint. And same here, the glow on this old gasoline pump.
I hope that brought a little bit of a warm feeling to you. I hope that gives you a little bit of encouragement to create some nostalgia. Until next time, I'm Ray Scott, reminding you it's not what you see, it's how you see it. And I'll see you soon.